Okay, so today is August 27th, 2016, and can you say what your name?
My name is Frank M Fannin. I was born in Kentucky in 1926, October 19th, 1926.
How old were you when you joined the Navy?
Well, I was actually 17. I was sworn in 2 days before I was 18, so I wouldn't have to go to the Army.
And what year was that?
That was 1944.
And okay, so you went into the Navy so before that time, what was the largest boat that you had ever been on before you were assigned to the Iowa?
I'd never been on a boat before in my life, and that boat was sitting in dry dock, and it was something to see for me and for a lot of people, I'm sure. A ship that size sitting in dry dock, and never seen a ship before in your life.
How many feet long was it?
It was 887 feet, if I recall right. And I forget the tonnage it was, like 120 foot wide.
What was your first job that they gave you when you were on the Iowa?
Well, the first job they gave me, they told me they were going to float the ship and put it on dockside, and I would have to stand up near the bow and help direct taking the ship out of the dry dock. I never knew anything about it, so it all worked out well. It came out.
You'd never been on a ship before, but
never been on a ship before in my life. Never
So,
been on a ship before, no sir.
So I think the first big battle that ship was in when you were on it was the Battle of Okinawa.
Okinawa.
What was your job during that battle?
I was in observation up between the two stacks. They had an observation place for, I think it was 6 guys, if I recall right, and we all wore headphones and watched for planes coming in from the sun and stuff, and that was our assignment for general quarters. Every time in battle or anything in practice or anything, it was always that's what you did.
So you'd receive training on how to identify things. So the training that you had before that?
Yes, the training we had before that. Well, that was in boot camp where we seen pictures of different planes and we had to identify them and whether they were a German plane or a Jap plane and the type of plane it was, and it was more of a identification or recognition type training that I went through in the boot camp, and that was most of our training was for observation.
So during the Battle of Okinawa, when you were in the observer station, did you see, what are the kinds of things that you saw during the battle?
All the strange things I've seen torpedoes in the water, I've seen the Bunker Hill hit out there, and if I recall right, it was like 260 men overboard, and you'd see men in the water, and you'd throw a smoke bomb over. We were a large ship, and we wouldn't stop and pick up anyone. We would just throw a smoke bomb over and hope a destroyer or a destroyer escort or a small ship would pick them up.
So why didn't your ship pick them up?
Why wouldn't our ship pick them up?
Yeah.
It took us too long to stop. We would be several miles on by the time you could stop and pick them up.
So you saw the kamikazes coming
Yes,
in
I did.
On attack?
I seen a kamikaze one day that coming into the New Jersey, and if I can recall right, they shot his right wing off. I could see the pilot. So
So was your ship hit by any torpedoes
No.
or by any kamikazes when you were on it?
Not while I was on it, no.
So after the Battle of Okinawa, you were involved in like shore bombardments?
Well, I was involved in 2 bombardments of Japan. One at nighttime, about midnight one night. We were, they said we were firing at an oil refinery 25 miles inland. And you know, you fire all 9 16-inch guns at one time broadside. And that was something to see. I'll tell you, the noise from that and the explosion of the gunpowder, I guess, from firing the shells it was something out of this world to see, in my opinion.
And would the ship move when they'd fire?
The ship would rock because you're firing all 9 guns at one time, broadside, and it would rock in the water back and forth. Yeah.
During the night bombardments, were you able to see the shells going on or
You
going
could
off?
see the shells. You didn't need tracer bullets. They were red hot as they come out of those guns, and you could see them as long as they were going up over the horizon. Yeah.
So this was preparation for the invasion of the Japan.
Yes, it was.
Of Japan.
Yeah.
And then and you had Marines on board for that, or?
We had 120 Marines on board, and we transferred them to the Missouri, and they had gathered all the Marines up and ready to land on Japan, and transferred them to the Missouri. I seen Admiral Halsey standing there in his old shorts. He was something else.
So they were transferred to the Missouri. So when they had the final surrender on the Missouri, where were you when that happened?
Well, we were anchored next to the Missouri in Tokyo Bay, and I wasn't right on top of it, but I could see what's going on. And that day we brought on board our ship a lot of American boys who were prisoners of Japan, and that was a sight to be seen, my friend.
Why, they were in bad shape?
They were so skinny, and they didn't want them to eat too much. They couldn't let them eat all they wanted. Had to limit them on their food intake and so forth and so on. And
when you weren't in battle stations, what was your job title on the ship?
When I wasn't in battle stations,
yeah.
Well, I was a deckhand at that time, and we fuel destroyers. We carried so much fuel on board. The destroyer is a small ship. They couldn't carry much fuel, and every morning we fueled 4 destroyers right after we had our general quarters dismissal, and every morning and every evening, a half an hour before sunset and sunrise, we manned our battle stations because of planes sneaking in on us. And then after we did that, we fueled destroyers, and then we got our breakfast, and you stood, if I recall right, 4 hours on duty and 8 off, and so you were rotating all the time, and they kept you busy all the time. Which I wasn't very happy with it at first, but come to think of it in later years, it's a good thing. It kept a lot of us out of trouble.
When's the last time you saw the Battleship Iowa?
Last time I seen it was in Tokyo Bay in 1945. They had started rotation of discharging the older men first, and I was relieving older men, and they transferred me to the Yorktown
aircraft carrier
and relieved an older guy, and then I was on it a short time, and then they transferred me to the Cumberland Sound to relieve someone else, and that's the ship I came back to the States on in December of '45.
What type of ship was the Cumberland?
A seaplane tender.
Okay.
And we brought back a seaplane with us and dropped it off at Puget Sound for, I guess they wanted to tear it down and see what it was made of.
Right. And then you left the Navy after your stint, and that was what, 1946?
1946. We converted that ship that I was on into an observation ship for the Bikini Island tests, and I didn't want to go to the Bikini Islands since I had seen and heard what the atomic bomb did. I didn't want any part of it, and so I took a discharge instead of re-signing up for the Navy. All
right. Well, we have a lot more questions, but I think we're at a time limit. I'd like to thank you for your service, and thank you for answering these questions. It's very interesting.
It was a trying time, which a lot of us young people didn't realize. And I'm the youngest of 7 out of our family in World War II. I had 3 brothers in the Navy and 2 in the Air Force, 2 brother-in-laws in the Army.
Wow. All right. Thank you.